All right. What's
up, dude? We're back, bro.
Back and better than
We're
ever.
back and better than ever.
He couldn't get through it.
Back.
Already messed up my first
It's all good. I was like, hey, wait, were we supposed to be?
We changed the format.
It's all good. I like it.
We need to go back to that because I like it that other way
anytime you
better.
can hear Scotty Hastings.
Oh yeah, we could just do it again before we introduce our guests. Who knows?
Scotty _Hastings _ music on Instagram. Go check him out if you're anywhere, but specifically catch a show. And
please help us release that
Tennessee.
Copyright claim that's still on our YouTube.
It's forever.
It's all good.
I'm still taken back by what we talked about before we got on, and I'm on npr.org about the deported U.S. veterans abandoned by their country who are getting deported. I didn't hear anything about
but when you're saying veterans, the crazy thing is it's Vietnam veterans.
Yeah.
Like that's where like I haven't been able to read, but I think next week's guest is gonna definitely give us some information on it.
Yeah.
Along with his story that we kind of got a part of before, but
just kind of going over some stuff. I mean, this guy was 41 years old, grew up in Chicago, enlisted with the military, served 2 tours in Afghanistan.
Oh, it's somebody from Afghanistan too being deported.
Yeah.
See, that's just how.
Yeah, he was deported to Mexico.
You serve this country and you're gonna get deported.
I mean, it's so amazing. Excuse me, but we're so ass backwards on that.
Right.
Yeah, I'm assuming someone dropped the ball.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of that
ball dropping around going on here.
Ball dropping.
Dropping.
There you go.
So,
all right, so been gone 3 weeks.
Oh man, how was vacation, bud?
Disneyland was tiring and amazing all at the same time, and maybe a little bit of a family issue, but we got through it.
But y'all spent 5
days,
full days.
5
not like
days.
Oh, hey, I'm counting half a day. We got there like 5 and
no, and the whole thing was we did 5 days because then we could be chill, right? And just kind of chill. And then I went back and looked. I looked at my steps on day 1, 20,000 steps.
To be chill.
I
mean, dude, hey, 5 days.
The other days, like the lowest day was 13,000.
Yeah.
But the first day, the chill day, was 20,000 steps. So
we just pump out 20K.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah.
Although whenever Sean and I went back in December, we were there for 3 days, 4 days. And it was the same thing. You're in that Disney mentality of having kids around and you got to go.
Yeah.
But yeah, having the tribe that you had there.
Oh yeah.
Which was over
9 people deep.
I was going to say 8 or 9 people.
9 people. Well, with the 6-month-old and the 2-year-old, it was 9 total people.
Good times, dude.
And we ate everywhere we wanted to. We got reservations. I mean, we got into Blue Bayou, which we had never done. It was okay.
It's on the list.
The problem,
it's the ambiance.
So the problem was we ate at Napa Rose the night before in the Californian, and that was.
So you went like
top notch. Yeah. So the Blue Bayou was like, oh, it's all right.
It's it's ambiance.
But it was cool to be. Pirates was open again.
Yo ho.
Literally, we were there. Well, we were the day after it opened. Luckily, we weren't the day it opened because it was a complete mess. Like apparently the ride shut down a bunch of times.
Really?
Yeah. So it was busy though. Thursday and Friday were not bad. Saturday, Sunday, Monday were torturous.
I'm sorry, and y'all can get mad at me. Why is my mom calling? Bring back the COVID lines, man. That was dope. Bring back the COVID lines. I don't want the COVID to come back.
No.
I just want the restrictions to come back.
Well, our president has it, supposedly.
Did y'all report that he had cancer too?
I don't know. I didn't hear that, but apparently he has COVID. So
the COVID.
Anyway.
Got the vid.
Anyway, so vacation was cool. Now came back and decided I want to do some more schooling. So I'm jumping into some online certificate programs.
Awesome. Yeah. Good for you. That is super awesome.
I started the last time I talked to you. I told you I had 2
finished
classes,
one,
but I started a third one now.
I mean,
and they're all like 5-6 month programs.
Remember,
in like a month.
The first day in Disneyland, he did 20,000 steps.
Yeah, we don't know how to do.
How about being chill?
Extra.
The guy retires and is busier now than he is before.
How about you, buddy?
It's the rat race. It's the circle of life. The driving around
for your wonderful companies.
Listen, I love the job that I do. I love spotting trailers or whatever the people want to call it, like moving trailers around with yard truck. I love the job of it.
Right.
I don't appreciate when bosses, because he's not a leader, he's a boss, doesn't take into consideration that the employees who do the job may have an idea that would improve not only morale, productivity, his bottom line. It would make him look a lot smarter. But hey, you know what? I can only do what I can do, and I'm at that
scared to rock the boat.
Yeah, and my point is I will always voice my opinion, but I'm tired of fighting this dude.
Perfect.
So
tell him what's up. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
What?
Our guest disappeared from the green room.
Yeah.
Oh, there he goes. All right. Well, with no further ado,
dun, dun, dun.
He disappeared, and then I just hit the button, let him in. So I would like to welcome our guest, Alundas Havens, to the show. Sir, welcome.
Greetings. Gentlemen, thank you guys for letting me on.
How you doing? You disappeared again. Is Chrome all right?
Yeah, well, this time it wasn't Chrome, it was me. I was trying to fix the background, and then it's just sign in. I'm like, okay, and then it takes me away from it. So yeah, I'm just gonna stop touching shit. We're gonna let it play.
Yeah, perfect. That's all good. If you just disappear, we could talk. It's all good. We'll get through it, right? And what's funny is I'm so like fidgety right now because of being back, and I've already like normally what we do is we do our little countdown, and then we jump into the show, and then we go to our intro. Instead, I just jumped right into the intro, so we're all off track. And then when I seen you pop back in, I just hit add to stream, and I'm like, hey, let's let our guest in. Let's jump on it. Let's go.
There we go. Well, glad
welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you, guys.
So we're 3 weeks out, and unfortunately we had a little scheduling conflict last time, but we're looking forward to talking to you. So what branch of the military were you in?
I was in the Marine Corp.
You're Marine Corps. Hoorah. So where did you grow up, man?
I grew up in Fresno, California originally, and then I was actually stationed in Marine Corps Air Station Miramar. So in San Diego, 6 hours.
So you were stationed at Miramar?
Yes.
Did you get on the motorcycle and do the whole Tom Cruise?
I do that drive like every day, and then I'll take one of my Marines. I was Operations Chief, E6 position as an E4, so I would be taking my Marine. I'd be like, hey, if we have our work done, hey bro, let's go get some lunch. So we would drive down that way because we would take the long way, of course, to go get some Wendy's. And we would go over there and we're like, if we have 2 hours to take lunch, we're going to do it. Or if we have 1 hour and I'm like, I'm my own boss, we do whatever we want. So we would drive through there and I'm like, just pretend you're Tom Cruise.
That's funny. That's awesome. All right. So you grew up in Fresno. So what made you decide to join the military? Did you join straight out of high school or?
Yeah. So I joined straight out of high school. I actually came from a long lineage of, military members. My grandfather was a great-grandfather was POW World War II. So
oh, wow.
Nice. Grew up with him and until I was about 6, 7. And crazy guy, you know what I mean? And it was one of those, like, I admired it, but I just didn't know because he was older then and going through it. So from there, my dad was a Marine, but he didn't make it all the way through. So that was one chip on my shoulder that I was like. And then in my case, I had a stepdad that was Army, and it was like, yeah, I could do that, but I just want to be the best I can be. So got to a point where, everything around me kind of my parents, they weren't living the life I wanted to. And in my case, it's like, oh, you're not going to tell me what I'm going to do. Went to the other branch recruiters. They're out of shape. And then here goes the Marine Corps recruiter. First thing he says, I'm not going to sell you. Just work out with me. And I'm like, this is easy. And that was kind of what sold me there.
Yeah. No, it's funny. You talk about the recruiters. So I have a 17-year-old and he's looking and we've been, sorry, he's going to mute your mic over there.
I had it muted. I swear I did.
It's all good. That computer ended up dying in the middle of this.
Something went wrong, it said.
Yeah. Well, I'll have to play with it. So my 17-year-old, we go and all the other recruiters are interesting looking. And then the Marine Corps is out there literally running every day. They're like in the best shape. And I mean, even the Army guys didn't look phenomenal. But the Marine Corps guys, I mean, we went on a Saturday morning and they were taking a crew out to run that day. So it was like, I love the Marines. I mean, I have the Marine Corps emblem on my calf because my dad was a Vietnam vet in Marine. But I wouldn't send my son there. I love Marines. The Marine Corps dress blues.
Yeah, I agree. I love the Marine Corps, and I didn't. My wife was thinking about going in, and then I'm like, nope, you're going Navy. And then cause she was thinking about it, I'm like, Navy's easier. And then she goes Navy, and I'm like, yeah, I definitely wouldn't have survived if I would have went Marine Corps to Navy, because just seeing them, you know, the way they present themselves. So, and then definitely with my daughter, I'm gonna be like, hey, it's whatever you want. You want a Marine and be for real about it? Okay. You want to go Army? Cool. You want to go Navy?
I'm trying to send mine's going to the Air Force. So
that's awesome. Yeah. So even better.
Well, and it's funny because we had a guest that was Army infantryman that I ran into at an event this weekend at one of our veterans associations here. That's and awesome. He was telling me how when he'd go on the Air Force Base, they would try to grab all the MREs they could, because their MREs were better than what the Army had.
Yeah.
So he would grab whatever he could.
Marines are sleeping on the ground, and the airmen are sleeping in hotel rooms.
Exactly.
Catered lunches and everything.
100% agree. When I was in Kuwait, it's supposed to be a dry country. These Air Force dudes throwing parties on New Year's, and they have alcohol, and they're like, oh yeah. And I asked one of the dudes, and they're like, they told us, they're like, yeah, you get non-judicial punishment if you're even kicking it over there with them. And then somebody asked them, they're like, yeah, they got it flown in here, and they're having like a grand time, you know, speaker going off, they rented out a room, and they're just partying it up, and we're like, just like going back to work the next day, pissed off. Like,
yeah, you guys are in your tents in the dirt, and
yeah,
man.
Well, good thing is we had rooms then.
But, okay, that's good.
It was like quarter a room. You know, you have your corner and then your bunk.
Right. So, where did you do basic?
Yeah, so I was out here in San Diego, MCRD.
Okay, MCRD. That's where my dad went.
There we go. Yeah,
I think so. That sounds familiar.
Yeah,
if you're West Coast, you will go there.
Yeah,
East Coast, you'll go to Beaufort, or not Beaufort, South Carolina.
Dude, I have his graduation book from '65.
That is awesome, brother.
Yeah, no, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to see. So, all right, and then straight out of basic, what was your MOS?
So out of basic, I went open contract. So I let the Marine Corps choose for me.
Oh, wow.
I went through Marine Corps combat training, and I was kind of like, I don't know what it's going to be. Luckily, you know, I was crazy. I wanted to go supplier infantry, and that was it. And then I got put into aviation operations. So it was cool for my job. I did all the data for the Ospreys. And then from there, you know, make sure that the flight schedule was good to go, preached it, you know, to the commanding officer. Hey, this is why we need to run these quals. And then with my job, I ran the operations department, but training as well. So I had to make sure, you know, everybody, the 200 people we had in the unit was eligible for retention, promotion, how to do their packages for them, how to be able to give ops briefs, and then be able to go in front of the commanding officer and say, hey, this is why this guy deserves promotion for the promotion panels when we're presenting them.
Nice.
That's cool.
What's up, Garrett? He's Semper Fi, brother.
Semper Fi, brother.
He's another Marine, young Marine. He was actually stationed in Hawaii.
You know what's funny is when I came back from Kuwait, my unit moved to Hawaii, and I was actually supposed to go over there. And then my old staff sergeant, she switched her orders, and it was from Miramar to Hawaii. And she was like, yep, it looks like you're the one staying here, and you're going to be the ops chief now and figure it out. So that was kind of funny. I was like, oh, we're staying in San Diego together. And it was like, nope, I'm taking off, which it was a good thing. She was a great individual, but leader was questionable.
We were just talking about questionable leaders.
Yeah, we were just talking about questionable leaders.
Yeah.
This is what it is.
We get that.
We live it. See, not only in the military.
I guess it's everywhere, right?
An hour and a half before a promotion panel about how I'm unfit to be a corporal and I'm never going to pick up.
Right before your promotion panel?
No. Yeah, so we get in there.
Wow.
Quick little story. Sorry for interrupting.
No, you're good. You're good.
We're on the panel. There's Master Gunnery Sergeant there, Sergeant Major, another Gunnery Sergeant, and we're all looking there. And one of the Gunnery Sergeants, he was the drill instructor, used to punk me every time he seen me. I hated this man. Just because he would like see me, he's like, "What's up, Havens?" and just start fucking with me. And I'm like, "Bro, what are you doing?" You know what I mean? Well, we're there.
That doesn't happen to Marines. What are you talking about?
Yeah, and it was like anytime this chant he did, or like, so I gained crazy weight before deployment, and then I lost 45 pounds out there. So he was just like, "Oh, you're looking real hefty," and then the next week, "Oh, what the hell happened? You look like you're losing a little bit," and it was just always messing with me. So we're at the promotion panel. He looks at me and he's like, "What are you gonna do differently when you pick up corporal?" And as a Lance Corporal, you know, I was running my whole shop on deployment. My problem was my corporal was taught wrong. And then we talk about the leader.
It just rolls down.
She wasn't teaching him. She was like, "You're delinquent. You you need to get stripped down in your rank because she thought, hey, it's this, but in reality, he was taught wrong. So you can't blame the guy. He just didn't know he was doing things wrong. So it got like to that point. So I was running the shop, and I'm at there, at that panel, and the gunnery sergeant's like, what are you gonna do differently? She looks at me, she's like, don't fucking say it. And here goes me, nothing. And they're like, what do you mean nothing? And I'm like, I do everything to the best of my ability. I'm running around, I'm giving the flight schedule, I'm making sure it's good, I'm disseminating it, I'm helping my corporal do his job because he's having a little bit of problems. And I was like, and I'm showing up every single day, I'm PTing, before I got hurt. So best shape of my life, one of the best Marines. And I said that, and they just look at me, and he's like, they all start laughing, and they're like, all right, usually we would jump on you for that, but great answer.
Hey, you put in
gotta
work.
be confident, right?
Yeah, exactly.
No one else gonna give you confidence.
Don't let anybody punk you.
Well, that's how that guy was, and that's what was so irritating. And then at the end of the deployment, we asked him, we were like, Gunnery Sergeant, why do you keep punking me every time you see me? And he's like, it's because I see, you, my younger version of myself and you, so I have to just go fuck up your day. So I want to make sure you're ready for it.
Because then it'll make you tougher, right? Like
I was like,
that's that Marine Corps tough love.
Yeah, I was always pissed. I was like, I fucking hate this guy. Like, he keeps just coming and just messing with me. Like, what are you doing? Or just screaming at me, like, if I'm not paying attention. And he's like, you could have died. And I'm like, no, it's not it, bro.
This wasn't a life or death.
You're walking across.
Bro, we were watching TV. What are you talking about?
You didn't see that
I'm sending an email. Yeah, I'm sending an email to the CO. You're gonna mess me up, man.
So you end up working on what was it called?
Aviation operations.
Aviation operations. And you obviously said you went to Kuwait. So how long were you in Miramar before you headed out of country?
So about 5 months. So I got to Miramar. 3 weeks later, I went out to Yuma for 2.5 months for training. I got there early, so that sucked because it was hot as heck out there and had to walk.
Was that? I was gonna ask. Sorry, is Yuma like the preparation to go to the desert out there?
No. Well, Yuma was weapons tactics instructor training, so that's more the aviation training.
Okay.
But that's what I did after. So I went to Yuma for 2.5 months for training. And then I learned something that didn't co-align with my job. I didn't even do that at all in my job. It was just another specialification that I'd never used. So that was fun. And then after that, I go back to my unit for a week. Then they're like, oh, we're sending you to 29 Palms, which is preparing for deployment. But that was shit compared to actual deployment. So yeah, that was fun because they took me out of my job once again, and they put me on guard duty in that 100 and something degree heat.
In 29 Palms?
Yeah.
And that's a shithole.
Yeah, it was terrible. We're living off tuna cans.
Yeah.
And
my dad was at 29 Palms for a while. So I've heard all about it. And everybody I hear about it, they're like, no, it sucks out there.
The gym sucked. You couldn't have like headphones in. You had to be in uniform. And then it was like either you go all the way to the other side of base, which if you had a vehicle, you could, which is staff NCOs. So we did that one time, and then if not, it was going to the grunt gym, but then you can't do anything because there's a million fucking grunts in there. So you're just like, all right, I'm gonna go outside and do pull-ups, and then you're just doing pull-ups, sweating your ass off at nighttime.
Wow.
Damn.
Sounds like fun.
Damn.
Yeah, lots of it.
So you end up going out of country. Is it straight to Kuwait or you go somewhere else?
Yeah, so we're straight to Kuwait for 6 months, and
okay.
Good and bad experience. Good because getting the reps out there, doing a lot out there.
Right, a lot of training.
Yeah, a lot of training, and it was just real fast paced, So coming back, I had a tough time integrating back into, living at home because you give a problem in the Marine Corps and it's here, figure it the fuck out. And then when I go at home, people are giving me problems. I'm like, here's the solution. No, I'm like, figure it out. And it was one of those, where it was difficult for me. But two, it was like deployment, best shape of my life. And then after that, I ended up getting injured. That was 1.5 years. So a year later, I ended up getting injured and came back from deployment and was being my own boss. So that was a good thing. But it was one of those for me. It was like I never rewired. And it was just like amped up all the time. So when I became my own boss, I thought that's what you need to do is be that bulldog NCO, they say, and start screaming at people. And
that's all you've seen, right?
Yeah.
That's all you've seen and all you knew.
Exactly. So I followed those steps, and good thing is I was my own boss, but bad thing is I didn't know how to train. So I had one Marine that would fight me, one that would break down completely, and then another one who was just like, hey man, do you think I'm stupid? And I'm like, Nah, I just don't know how to talk to you.
Hey,
I'm gonna use that.
That's the truth.
I'm gonna use that.
I mean,
Bro,
the truth's the truth, right?
Like,
I
no,
swear, I still hang out with him to this day. He's my little brother, and that guy honestly would be like, "Hey, brother, could you do this for me?" And he's like, "Do you keep Barney styling this down for me? Do you think I'm stupid?" And I'm like, "Nah, like I'm trying to make it easy." Like in my head, I'm like, "Oh, I'm doing him a favor," and he's like,
yeah,
"No, you're questioning my competence. I'm not incompetent." And I'm like,
Did he not realize he was a Marine? That's what everybody thinks. So
yeah,
come on now. I love my Marines, but they got
that's
their
awesome.
stigmas. That's
yes.
hilarious.
I
Hey,
love
you were
that.
honest, right?
Yeah,
I
hey.
mean, that was good, honest leadership. Like, man, I just don't even know how to deal with you.
Yeah, well, it was exactly that because I tried it. I asked other leaders what to do, and then with him, it was like I couldn't yell at him. I had to be stern, but I had to, of course, when you make the correction, tell them what they're doing good first, and really feel them. But I need to be more empathetic, and I didn't understand that I wasn't being, because in my case, I was like, yeah, I'm doing a damn good job, and I really wasn't. So that's where like all those problems happen. And then slowly, we start working together because like our boss at the time wasn't great either. And she was one of those that was in the job for long enough, but she didn't know her job, and she just like would play fuck games and make us do like these naval format letters over, and like you missed the space here, and there's no space, so we're wasting hours of our day, or like some shit just happens to go missing. She's the last one to touch it, so it was one of those like we needed to work together, and that's what really drove it. It was like he was like, "Oh, you're actually trying to help me. You're not preventing me like she says you are," and I'm like, "No, like she's just playing these games, and that's why I laugh all the time because I know exactly what she's doing." It's just I have no power to be able to stop it. So I'm like, all right, let's do it then.
Dude, that literally is that's going
what you're dealing with.
What I'm dealing with. Yeah.
Well, and you would think thered be a little more empathy in your company. I could understand empathy in the Marine Corps, but
so what did you do to fix it? So what happened?
Yeah, so actually, what's funny is before I got out, I was a little pissed off at myself.
You're good.
2 weeks before I got out, I started reading the book 48 Laws of Power, and that sucked because it starts talking about like number one, don't outshine the master. And I'm like, I could have done this so much. So we went to a staff meeting, and I just didn't I didn't tell her what was going on. You know what I mean? She expected me to do it and relay the message. And I told her, and she's like, what's going on? I was like, oh, everything's the same. So she goes into the staff meeting and just completely makes an ass out of herself and turns to me, and I'm fucking laughing, and I'm like, and everybody's just like, Havens. And then I step up and I give it. And before I was getting out, I gave all the corrections. I'm like, hey, this is what you need to do for your shop. You guys need to do this. You need to know how to de-stress. You need to know how to calm down, how to be able to manage, because it's going to be high op tempo over there, and it can change within a second. ISIS almost hit our base, so everybody was going ballistic for that day, and I'm like just kicking my feet on the desk because I'm like, what are you going to do? You know what I mean? You got to be prepared for it. So obviously I'm not going to be running like a chicken with my head cut off. So I'm preparing them for this. I told my junior Marine, and I was like, hey, bro, this is what you need to do, and this is what's going to make you successful. And unfortunately, all the notes I gave them was exactly what they repeated of what happened on my deployment. So it was one of those where he's like, man, fuck you. And I'm like, why? And he's like, because you said it was going to be exactly that, and it was terrible. And I'm like, I told you what was going to happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I was like,
hey,
what was stress? You're working every day.
What was the name of that book again? 48 what?
48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene.
Well, what's funny is, I mean, you think Kuwait and Iraq and Afghanistan, do you think it's going to be glorious? Like, I don't, I mean, it's all I hear is the sand's even worse than you ever think.
Well, it is. And then they get sandstorms over there too.
Yeah.
So it'll be doing that. And then it rains. So like, good thing is we're not females, so we don't have long hair, but it gets in their hair. In our case, like you got to put the goggles on or it gets in your eyes. So it's just like, it's
and then it just gets in everything. Ugh.
Yeah. So you're always you're always sweating.
Yeah, that's
one of those
that's the Garrett who commented was telling me about Afghanistan when he went there, and it was just like, nah, it sucks.
Yeah.
So anybody that tells you it's fun they're lying, because
I don't know. I mean, I was with the Air Wing guys, so some of them had it easy. So I had some of them had Xboxes and PS4s out there and shit, and I'm like, bro, how? You know what I mean? In my case,
playing Call of Duty.
Yeah, no, they were doing that. So it was just like, well, when I worked during the days, it was impossible because you're just doing stuff all day and you have the staff PO. But when I went to nights, I'll get my work done the first couple hours, and then I'll just have to prepare for a brief the last hour of the day. So yeah, that's where we're having real fun. You know what I mean? Going to it was 15 minutes on a bus ride to go to the other little part of the base, and we're like, all right, let's go get midnight, lunch over there. So we'd do that, and nights was fun because we were just like
You could chill.
completely, yeah, we're chilling out. But that was the only time you'd be able to do that.
So did you with your time over there, and then did you come back to Miramar?
Yeah,
after
so
that?
I went back to Miramar within that first. So yeah, after that first month, my unit moved to Hawaii, and then that's where we started building a new unit up from the ground up, which was hell. Because it was really learning everything all over again.
So your guys all left to Hawaii,
Yeah.
and then you had to start over and build a new unit.
Correct. So that
Okay.
happens. I get promoted to corporal. Day of, I get a new junior Marine. So that was a good experience as well.
Okay. All right. Then what did you just do your 4 years or?
Yeah. So year 2, I actually tore the cartilage in my right knee, and then from there I started battling that. So took it to year 3, and then finally got the arthroscopic surgery. Whoop-de-doo, you tore the cartilage, and then whittled it down to the last 3 weeks. And here the fuck games again. Go to medical, and I'm like, hey, when am I going to get the extension? And they're like, oh, you go to admin. And I'm like, no, I do not go to admin. So I go to admin. Yeah, you can do it, but you have to do 2 physical fitness tests and 2 combat fitness tests. And I'm like, I can't run. I haven't done that in 2 years, so there's no way I'm running 6 miles.
Right.
And they're like, all right, we'll go back to medical. So I go back to medical. My surgeon got orders. I'll send you to the specialist. Now you don't have any time on contract. I'm like, no shit. I'm asking for a medical extension. So then from there, I was just like, you know what? I'm tired of this. They also, at that time, before that, they gave me antidepressants as a neuro blocker. And they were like, oh, it's going to work. And then I start being depressed. I start having panic attacks. I'm crying at work. And that was one of them where I was just like, you know what? This medical's not doing the damn thing for me. So why am I going to stay in here? And then it was 2, once I got hurt, I was actually on a meritorious sergeant board. That got taken away. And it was like, you're a shit Marine now. So it was one for me where it was like battling the ego. And then I got a boss who was just micromanaging. And it was like, I'm not in that position. Because again, I was my own boss. So I already had that. I had the ego problems. And I'm like, oh, I got this shit. And I can run everything. And then it was just like getting to that point. So that's why last 3 weeks I was going back and forth. And I was like, you know what? I'll get on and move on with my life.
All right. So I do have a question. Something you said that. So you mentioned the meritorious, right?
Yes.
What can you explain? Because not everybody knows. Obviously, Marines probably know, and but my dad, I have a couple. He's got a couple meritorious mass awards.
Those are awesome.
Yeah. So can you explain what that is?
So the meritorious mass is like an award that you would win. So that one's a little bit different, but a meritorious promotion in this case basically is saying you go through another like panel process, promotion panel, and they look at all your strengths. So Marine Corps is really about physical fitness. So it's like, are you a first class, the highest scores you can have. Then it's really about, how many Marine Net courses you do, and that, it looks at if you've done your professional military education. They'll look at any, volunteer work you did. So in my case, like I was a single Marine program representative. So we did a lot of like volunteering, junior jarhead day with the little kids, or Jane Wayne day with the wives, which was another. Yeah, both of those experiences, and I can talk about that later if you want. Those were fun. But it was just like, what the hell type moments, Well, okay, so Junior Jarhead Day.
Junior Jarhead just cracks me up. I mean, that's got to be a bunch of Marines bringing their kids out or something. I don't know.
So I had my XO and CO's kids, and they're doing Hulk Hogan leg drops off the top of a bounce house. And then they're like, hey, watch this. And just boom, close.
So basically you were daycare.
Yeah. And then I'm like, hey, sir. And it's like, how do you tell like your commanding officer is a badass kid,
Yeah. You got Bebe's kids over here.
Then the wives, they seen some other, it was like some other like corporal, and I was like a lance corporal. Or I was a lance corporal at that time. They're like, oh, he said you're hot. He likes you. He wants to take you on a date. And I looked at the wife. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? And it was a sergeant's girlfriend. So he's like, hey, Marine, come here. And starts like yelling at me. And I'm laughing. I'm like, hey, bro, I'm not going to steal your girl. Calm down. Like, it's not that deep, bro. I don't even know who she is. She's like, well, we're married. And I'm like, okay. Like, again, it's not that deep. He's like, well, someone said this. I was just like, whatever. But going back to the meritorious promotion, it's all those things that you're doing that puts it. In my case, I was at E4 and E6 position. I already had all those things executed. We were top in like the Marine Aircraft Group 16. So kind of just like there's like 10 units that fall under that umbrella. We were number 2. And it was just because, in my case, like we were starting up from the ground. So we're learning all these things. We didn't have a commanding general's inspection yet, which we aced. But it was basically everything we were doing And for training sakes, we were like near 100%. So they were like, hey, what are you guys doing that's well? In my case, like I was pulling from all my other friends from the schoolhouse that were my same job, walking down the line, and like going to hang out and like, hey, how do we figure this stuff out? So it was awesome, putting myself in
other
that.
people.
Yeah.
It was weird initially because it was getting all those things done. And that's where, I set myself up for that. And then again, since I had no division head in my shop, it was me talking to my sergeant major. So the conversations we had, were professional. I had to level up and I had to be able to speak with him and articulate it. Or, for instance, I had like staff sergeants who didn't want to do training for their shop. And then the commanding officer is like, why are we delinquent here? So I'm like, oh, that staff sergeant deleted my email and I had a read receipt. So I printed out and like, hey, so-and-so did, and I gave it to the commanding officer. So that was why they liked me. And that's why I was eligible to get promoted. So I would have picked up sergeant at year 2. But I got injured, and that's where, it ended up taking off from there. And it didn't pick up because right before I got out, they changed it to 4 years time in service. So even if I had a medical extension, it wouldn't have counted because I didn't have an actual contract that was holding for 4 years. So that's where I was just like, you know what, it's not worth it because I'm putting myself through pain. I'm not going to get a raise, for another year. And then I was already upset because I wasted 2 years, where I already felt I should have had that promotion. And then it was just like watching everybody else. And you're like, yeah, that guy's not as good as me. And I trained him 100%. So how is he, a higher rank than me? Now I got to be able to like bow down to this dude.
Or you didn't choose to get hurt.
Exactly.
So that's the hard part. But I mean, I know unfortunately that's life, right?
Yeah. So luckily I'm glad that happened because after the Marine Corps was a little bit tough, but definitely built it together and then got in the right room.
And we want to get into that.
That's where we're heading. So you get right out. Where did you end up?
So first, so I'll just go through chronologically. So first I went to home improvement sales, and that sucked because it was straight commission. So 1 month had 7 G's I made, and then 2 months I had nothing. And it was one of those for those 2 months that I had deals that were in, but they didn't update their price book. And 2 was difficult because they had an ad campaign out there was misleading. So it was like, oh yeah, get your discount now. We ain't have no discounts. So people are pissed off. So
they're calling it, I want my discount.
I ended up saying like, hey, I'm going to gamble on myself again. I'm going to go to a mortgage brokerage, working minimum wage, making $2,000 extra in commission. So that was plus. But
what year was this?
So I just got out 2 years ago in 2020. Okay. So
you started as a mortgage lender?
Yeah. So started out there as a junior loan officer, doing that and trying to get my license. And I was also working on my business management degree, which I started year 3. So that was awesome doing that. And I was just working on school, focused on that, focused on trying to have the family with a wife and trying to make all these things happen, wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, hit the gym. And it was just like, it's not falling in place for me. But it was like every chance I had, I was studying, working on either the school work or working on getting that, exam. And that was one thing that I kept failing. So got into that. And then also it wasn't a fit for me because again, 19, 20 years old, my own boss, the Marine Corps. And then now I'm arguing with 22-year-old kids who just got off mommy and daddy's couch. So I'm just like, man,
that's not going to work well.
So during that process, when I was at that home improvement sales, my grandfather died. And he was kind of the one that like cleared everything up. He was my go-to person. So I was like a chicken with their head cut off again. Greatest thing was I started when I first got out, I was listening to a podcast, Underdog Empowerment, and I kind of got in their Facebook group and I would always listen to this podcast and I'm like, all right, cool. And I posted in there one time and it's now my business partner, Zach Babcock. And I commented in there and I was just like, hey, Zach, you're very inspirational. I didn't know you got out of prison, you started this 6-figure business. And I'm like, man, I got out the Marine Corps and I feel like there's no hope for me. So one of his guys, who was his old president, commented back, hey, brother, I'm an Army officer. I got out the Marine or the Army. I'd love to, talk with you. If you need anything, let me know. So I built that relationship, ended up, they put an offer out $47 for their podcast course. I ended up hopping on that. And then from there ended up getting in their group, monthly group. And I was just really like involved in podcasting and trying to get my life together and figuring out, hey, what is working with me? I actually moved on to another company helping veterans, their VA claims, which funny, you guys were talking about Vietnam vets earlier.
Yeah.
That was where I got real empathetic with it.
What company?
It was VA Claims Insider.
Okay.
So they helped me get my claim up. And it was awesome, doing that. Helping vets, it was very tough just because Vietnam vets had it rough out the gate. And the media turned on them.
They're a whole different breed.
Yeah, so every single call, the fucking government. And
Yeah,
going off.
yeah,
And you're like, yeah. So anyway,
Yeah.
how we were, anyway, do you want to pull up that link? Do you want me to walk you through it so we can be able to help you get those benefits you deserve? Because you just missed out on 40 years, and I don't want you to go another day, and getting them. But it was one of those where my nanny moved away, and I have a 7-month-old now. And at the time, she was about 4 months, and I'm holding her, making sales calls. The company comes at me, and they're like, is your heart still in it? And I'm like, man, what do you mean? Like, I'm your top rep. I grind every single day, working 60 to 80 hours. So I went back to that group. I told my partner, Zach, hey, this is what happened. And he's like, you know what? I know your skill set. I've talked to you for a while. I think we have something here. He's like, let's start a company together. There we created a company, Alpha Influence Media, where we started helping other alpha podcasters, entrepreneurs get aligned with their ideal audiences. And then we do ad campaigns for them so they can be able to focus on, dialing in on the content. And then we also pay them for guests on their show. So that was something where initially I never thought would happen, get in the right room with them.
Right.
And then really worked on that relationship. And then literally last week went out to his event out in St. Louis. And that's where I was like, man, my life really did change, off the internet in figuring out what worked for me. Because before working these jobs, and even going to school, like I realized that's not for me. So originally school in the Marine Corps, I was like, yeah, I started picking out the leaders that didn't put the time into themselves, because you can hear it when they're speaking, and you're like, yeah, yeah, that's how my staff sergeant was. Like, she would be and I wanted to outshine the master so much and show how great I was, but it was hurting me. So when I let her, and I'm like, you know what, staff sergeant, you read the promotion warrant because I can't do it. And then it was just like, and then she's just like, okay, when you get out the Marine Corps, do you want to stay in touch? And I'm like, I never want to have any communication with you ever again. And I was like, honestly, you should never be in the same room. And that's where I was just like, oh, so definitely starting a business.
I never want to see you again. Like, you were
in the same room with you.
Yeah, like
that lady on my life hell.
That was great.
Okay, with that, we need to go take a quick commercial, and then we'll come back. So, because that is funny.
Awesome.
That is awesome. All right, we'll be right back with Alundas Havens. Now for our sponsor, Tamara Pulido with the Finance Group, where they're creating a future where everyone has access to the loan and home they love. Whether you're a veteran, law enforcement, a first-time home buyer, you're up or downsizing, or even if you need to just refinance, our community deserves proficiency and expertise. Better rates, faster close, welcome home. Tamara Pulido NMLS 1655776. Again, that's Tamara Pulido, and her phone number is 209-204-3795. Dude, that's funny because you just talked about the mortgage lending, and Tamara's our one sponsor.
Our one sponsor. We got one sponsor. 31 episodes.
We're killing. We need to need to go to his
AIM.
I got one too. I got one sponsor.
And
it's CBD.
And it's CBD.
Hey, CBD is cool.
I tore all the cartilage from my right knee, and then I have really bad joint problems, elbows, shoulders, knees.
Come on, you ain't doing CBD, bro.
Yeah, I put that on every day, and that's what I get. Oh, and then I also get migraines all fucking day long. So that's another. Before I was at 3 to 5, now I'm about 3.
Is that from all your training and everything, or?
Yeah, that's from in service. So that's why I kind of was looking into it, because like I said, they put me on antidepressants. I'm like, this is shit. I'm not going to even the VA now. I'm like, I'm not taking that shit. I don't care what you have to say.
Right.
Have you is that on your record for having the migraines and stuff?
Yeah, I'm at 100%.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
cool.
Nice.
Cool.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's something. Be at 100%.
Yeah, that does suck that you're so young, but it's funny because we talk about all this stuff and always bring up this book. This is my book that I got from American Veterans First, and it seems like every page there's something. There's a program, there's a phone number, there's an email that we try to give out to people. Obviously, about most of that, or probably all of it. So yeah, man, thanks for joining us, dude. This is freaking awesome, and love the energy.
Well, and now we're gonna move over. This guy's blown up his life.
Yeah.
He's trying to do big things, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And now with the pod, and I don't know if you know, but we kind of do a podcast here.
I don't know, maybe I know that.
We've moved more to this YouTube live, and we'll be on it. Like, does everybody want to get rich off this stuff? Oh, hell yeah, I'd love to get rich, but we're we kind of started off like going all these different directions, and then we're like, you know what, we love talking to our veterans. So it's been really cool to see, like, talking to somebody like you, right? You go through the Marine Corps, even as you went in, you didn't have a clue what you're going to do. Then you get your job in the Marine Corps, you don't have a clue what you're going to do. Then you do all this training, and then you come out. Those aren't usable skills unless you go, maybe work somewhere at another base as a civilian, or maybe an airport. I don't know, based on the skills you had. But like, now what do you do with your skill set, because it doesn't necessarily translate? So now you have to use your mind and start putting that to work. And so I'm excited to hear more about this journey with Alpha Influence. I know it's pretty new, right?
Absolutely, yeah. So we just kicked it off about May, and then now
Okay.
we're finally getting that going. We had a couple clients, but now we're obviously picking up more, and we're going to start hiring more people on the team here pretty soon. So how kind of Alpha Influence Media started, and we'll reverse engineer real quick.
All right.
A week before my daughter was born, we started the Winner's Paradigm podcast, and that's where I started helping people recalibrate their mindsets. Really, like I talk about, I dealt with abusive, narcissistic parents, and that was kind of what shaped me into who I became, and kind of why I was thinking why I was. And obviously being in the Marine Corps, and a lot of things came out, even on boot leave, had a traumatic experience, and it kind of shifted me to keep working, and it was kind of that fear behind it. So in this case, really dove into that, and then now having the Alpha Influence Media Company is awesome, because I'm able to focus on and say, hey, how do we bring massive impact back? I know influence is one thing. We all want to be able to help people. You influence people regardless, but it's really about what you have to do. So what we aligned it with was core values. How are we helping other people out? What are we doing that's going to be able to make that difference? So that's really we do run those ad campaigns. We help other podcasters get what they need up, but at the same time, what we do is we make sure that, hey, they're on the shows that they can. That way they're able to grow their downloads, grow their brand, be able to make a little more, maybe be able to pitch sponsors more effectively, because now they have the audience behind them.
Right.
Or in my case, just develop a friendship. So I developed a friendship with the CBD guy that I met in our group. And then from there, I was like, hey, can I use some affiliate offers? And I was like, I would just like to promote you my podcast. And he's like, you know what? You've been using my products, because I asked him, he sent me a free product.
Right.
And I think I ordered a couple, and from there he sponsored me. So I kind of do that too, and show people like, hey, you just build a relationship. You're never going to ask somebody for something, but you can slowly be like, hey, this is what, promote it, and then they can give you that offer.
Oh, we did.
We just can't get the offer.
Yeah.
We promote shit out of stuff.
We promote like crazy, and I actually run I run my own social media business, but I'm actually now going to school and doing more around social media to try to get a little more focused on it and really dig in, because I tell everybody, like, especially for my social media business, because everybody, you could say you're going to do all these things. The realism is it's few and far between. Like, it's, I'm not going to turn your small business into an influencer, but what I am going to do is make you relevant, like, and get people liking your
consistent content.
Yeah.
That's the issue.
And that's what we've talked about. So,
yeah.
So what are you guys like? How are, I know you guys are doing, some of the advertising, I guess you said, for them, some of the marketing. What like, if we came to you as a podcast, how's that work?
Right.
Like,
so
what do you guys do for us?
So a couple of different things there. What we first see, is what you're specifically looking for, what aligns best with you. So that's the first initial step. That way we can be able to put in there, hey, these shows align with you, this at 10,000 downloads or more. And then from there, the campaign portion is more like Spotify ads, because on there you can be able to scroll up and be able to click on it, or from there, run a couple other, sometimes Apple, but be able to have those in there to be able to promote it. And then at the same time, since you're around the same people, we do the same social media stuff, letting them know, hey, when you're on Facebook, start interacting with everybody, or, adding people daily. And from there, start messaging them and kind of create those relationships. So in case, like, for instance, like, I get a lot of my guests, I just book them on Facebook, and I just send them a voice message after I've interacted with them sometimes, so they know who I am. And then I'm like, hey, brother, I'd love to have a conversation with you. So that way you open it up for you. Or in that case, you're able to build that network. So when you do go to events, you do stuff, you can be able to have that recognition, go on their podcast, and then you're able to get more of that audience because you have the authentic feel. You've already built that relationship with people. And from there, you're able to take your brand, really to start increasing it slowly.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think, I mean, we've been on one other show, and we had
R.I.P.
no, what? They're not.
Yeah, I gotta tell you later.
Oh,
Yeah.
they're not running no more.
Yeah, all right.
Oh
and,
man.
and that's the other thing too. We make sure is we'll look at it like their listen note score if they're under 5%, if they have 15 episodes or more, if they're going weekly. Because again, I've been like that as well. You know, we go on podcasts or had somebody on my podcast twice, and then they're not doing it anymore. So we want to make sure, you know, whoever we have, you're not going to gauge all of them 100%, but you're going to be, you know, 97% because you're going to know exactly, hey, this person's not going weekly. Or in my case, you know, I went on 36 podcasts 6 days, and it was tough because it was kind of doing that same thing. You know, how to make sure that they were there, that they were going to be consistent. One of them wasn't, and it was just one of those like, all right, when is this going to drop type deal? So I wanted to make sure, like, hey, for my clients, like, hey, don't do that. We're going to make sure 15 episodes, they're putting one out weekly. Why? Because we know that they're going to post our stuff out.
Right.
Yeah.
See, that's our challenge is the post stuff out, because we love all of our guests, but we're hoping for some of that reciprocation.
Literally, I don't.
We've had a few.
There's a few. Yeah, I won't say. There's a few that we've seen. Hey, I'm going to be on this show. Hey, but far between.
Which is what would help you, especially with people. You know, if you have somebody that has a couple thousand followers on their social media, if they say, "Hey, we're going to be on there," I mean, we've done a show at a brewery. We've done multiple things, and it's like the love doesn't quite get reciprocated.
We are super spreaders. We share.
We will share love.
I mean, as soon as I see Mike share, I share.
Yeah,
and it's going Instagram and TikTok and Twitter.
It goes everywhere.
Yeah.
But that's been, and then we're also, you know, I don't know with the podcast, if you're strictly doing podcasts as in, you know, just microphone, headphones, and that's it. And we kind of moved, like, we have our show does get recorded and put on a podcast. But we wanted to do this. Like, we just thought this was cool to have the whole, you know, like, let's go
in studio.
Yeah, in studio.
In studio.
So now you actually get to see us because we're so pretty.
I'm hot, bro.
Temperature hot.
No, get you guys 100%. That's the next move for me in the future.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about getting a studio. See, part of me wants to do it in San Diego, but that's an hour drive, and I got the little one. So it's like, well, I can build, you know, something in there. And I mean, my wife's
put a backdrop behind you.
Well, I didn't. What I want to do is I mean, I guess I want to buy a house and then just have like another plot of land and have it there. So it's just easier because it's just convenient versus, you know, like my wife's gonna get out in a year, and from there it's gonna be like, all right, you know, why are we going to San Diego type deal? Or it's just gonna be like that. So
my entire life here.
I'm gonna buy a bigger house, you know what I mean? And then,
bro, you better be saving up to buy a house in San Diego. Holy.
No, I'm not buying in San Diego.
Yeah, because holy smokes. Yeah. Everything's $1 million, you know.
That's why I'm in Marietta, because it's at least I got a backyard out here. And,
I
actually got lucky with my house as well. We put a contingent in for $40,000 and $15,000, and it came back 45 over appraisal. So that would have been straight out of pocket, and we had 30, and they were like, "Yeah, put that out of pocket." We're like, "Hell no, we're not doing all the reserves." So that was a great learning experience, and it was tough buying. It took us like 8 months to find a house.
Well, yeah, no, especially if you were searching in this last year, then I feel sorry. And that's what kills me about the whole what just happened and what's happening now is young people, like young families like yours, man. I just want to see you guys buy houses because I happen to be a real estate agent too. So
there you go.
Yeah. So it's just that stuff bothers me. All right. And it's
all good. You've done really well today.
Oh, thank you. So Winner's Paradigm, what is that podcast about? What's your niche?
Absolutely. So my podcast is about helping alpha entrepreneurs really recalibrate their mindset. So the reason why I say that word is I want people to really challenge those beliefs, as we always do with everything. But I want people to really realize that, hey, you know, it doesn't matter where I came from, what I went through. In our case, you know, going back to civilian life, that was extremely tough. Why?
Right.
Because I'm arguing all the time with these, you know, young kids at the mortgage brokerage, and they're like, "Oh, if you don't have a Mercedes, you're broke." Okay, I'm broke. Why? Because I just don't give a shit. You know what I mean? And then it's like, oh, and they're like, "What are you gonna do?" I'm like, "Probably buy a house for me and my family." And it's like my goals were different than theirs. So that's why I like challenging it. Because even in my case, like went into the Marine Corp. My stepdad tried to shoot my wrestling coach on boot leave, and it was something where it's like, that was
What?
traumatic for me, and I
Yeah,
started
that would
drinking
be.
a lot. Yeah,
You didn't share that story. Oh,
Yeah.
I grazed over it earlier. So
Yeah,
He
I
said
did
traumatic. He said he had a traumatic.
yeah.
thing
He
in
said
boot camp.
the boot.
Yeah, he said that, but he didn't really say.
But he kind of
Oh, hey.
glided right over it.
Shit.
So yeah, that's what happened. I ended up fucking becoming an alcoholic and was
Oh,
drinking a gallon of whiskey, because you know how it is after
Whiskey.
you get off work and it's 4:30 and you guys just all start pounding drinks. So in my case, it was like whiskey, and then I'd have my soda, and then I'm like, oh shit, I drank 2 liters, and it was just one, like, just kept chugging, you know what I mean, drinking all these drinks. And yeah, so that's what I like talking about as well, is like kind of my experience with that, you know, the identity. So I dealt with identity issues, but definitely when I stopped drinking, and now like I'll have a couple on occasion when it's the right, you know, people, because
right.
I'm not going to be fighting or anything like that. So I want to make sure I can enjoy, you know, who I'm with. But it's one of those, like, I stopped drinking and it's like, you're a square, you're that, all you care about is your business, all you care about is learning. I'm like, yeah, because I'm not trying to do the same shit over again.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
So that's what that podcast is
make
all
a
about.
feature
Is
for my
it's finding out those, you know, having talks with successful entrepreneurs, whether it's whatever figure they are, and saying, hey, you know, what did you do? I had a 7-figure entrepreneur, Tony Watley, on, and when he's talking, he's like, I'm not talking about business. We're talking about, you know, personally, what's going to get your mindset type deal. So it was awesome, you know, having that, because they're like, hey, this is what's going to lead you to success, and this is what you're going to do. And then now I recently started tapping into kind of, you know, I cry it out and do meditation, because it just allows me to get to that point, heal whatever I need, and then I journal that shit, because it's like I'd be able to put that on paper and I realize, hey, what's wrong with me, or what's going on? Why do I feel this way? Because that's something that, you know, I felt like the Marine Corps should have taught, is they give you like those risk management classes and don't beat your wife when you come home from deployment, but they don't talk about, you know, anything more of relieving stress or overcoming trauma. And it's like, you can go to therapy, but then all of a sudden you're, you know, labeled because you have anxiety, or if the unit finds out, you know what I mean? So for me, it was really, I wanted to share that with people on that podcast, and I wanted to really tap into that. And now, like, I'm doing exactly that, where I'm showing people, like, hey, this is where I'm at in my journey. I don't care what other people think. It's just, hey, you know, you got to figure out what works for you, and it's different for everybody.
So
That's awesome.
So you're like the winner's paradigm. You're really talking to entrepreneurs that have done something. How are you getting connected with these people? Is that all through the Alpha Influence Media, or?
Correct. Yeah. So I use my business on that as well, but mostly it's emailing. You know, so I
Connections.
use connections there, and then Facebook. I'm already around a lot of people because my business partner Zach Babcock's up there, so he has a lot of people that are following him, and I just really like get to know them. A lot of other successful entrepreneurs or people who are, you know, been around for a minute, so I just contact them, build a relationship with them, and then slowly pitch them like, hey brother, I would love to interview you sometime, because by then they already know who I am, and that's why I say, like, add them on Facebook, comment on their stuff, because you're giving, you know, people exactly what they need from you. And you already set that expectation. So you're not cold calling, you're not cold pitching. They're like, oh, we know what you did. You overcame this shit. Oh, you're a Marine. You know what I mean? Yeah, let's definitely talk. And it's one of those where it's like that. Because before I used to just talk oh, Marine Corps, and when I was in the Marine Corps, this or that. And now it's like, I actually have the business experience. I show more of that other side. And I'd say that's what opened up more doors and why I'm able to get more guests on my show. So for instance, and then, you know, using a couple apps as well. I use those as well. You know, I needed money.
What apps do you use?
Yeah, so there's Matchmaker, which a lot of people like. I'm not a fan of it anymore, just because a lot of it's UK based. So you're gonna have a lot of like UK, and if that's your market you're trying to tap into, perfect. Podmatch is another big one. So I got the Podmatch Pro, which is $54. And if you use that, they actually pay you for some of your guests on there. So that's what I started doing. So I got like $10, $20 from another guest. And then the rest, I'm all booked out now till March of next year. And that's with dropping 2 episodes next year, which in reality, I can string that to August. But I'm making sure I can put more. And then I also have other guests that I'm starting to get now where I'm like, man, I got to drop another one this week. So that's kind of how it exploded for me in that sense. But even using an app like that was perfect, because I was like, hey, able to make a little bit of money off of it. Because I know podcasting, we want it to be rewarding, but it's difficult to get it there. And 2, it's like I get people that are more aligned with what I am, because you see their profile, you can talk to them. So I'm able to engage and be like, hey, we're going to have a cool conversation on this. And even if not, you know, record it and it doesn't align with you, don't release it. You know what I mean? I've done that where it was just like I didn't feel comfortable, and now it's like, no, I don't. Like, if we have the interview and I just feel like we don't align, okay, I'm sorry about that, but I'm not going to put this out there. You know what I mean? Because my brand is
Right.
about helping people and what resonates with us. And I feel like if it resonates with me, it's going to resonate with exactly who my audience is.
That's beautiful. Do you record? Is your goal to release a show every week, or?
Correct. Yeah. So you want to stay consistent.
Yeah.
So 1 a week is perfect. And then from there, any more you can. So next year, I want to do it this year, but I also started really late in the year because before I was working at that VA claim job. So I was working too much, and it was like the podcast was difficult to happen. So I'd kind of like 1 day a month, stack up on 4 episodes, and then kind of do that, and it wasn't working. So what I did now is like next year I'm going to go on 100 podcasts on the Winner's Paradigm podcast, and then I'm going to go on 100 interviews that I'm going to do, and then I'm also I'm going to start for Alpha Influence Media in September. We're going to start a podcast for that specifically on maximizing your impact, your influence, and then be able to scale your business. So we can kind of say, hey, these are the free options. So when you work your way up and you're able to afford the services we provide, here it is. So in this case, giving them the organic, what's going to actually do it, how I was able to do it, how I'm able to land some guests on there. So people can be like, all right, cool. And then from there, have those interviews specifically tailored to that. So that way I can have that focus on the business, and then I can still have the Winner's Paradigm where it focuses more with my passion and helping people, and really, getting to the bottom of it, figuring out, hey, how can we both succeed, or what do we got to do to get to the next step, and showing that to people.
Wow. Yeah, that's sick. I mean, considering what are you now? 23, 24?
24, yeah.
Yeah. That's dope.
That's 24. Wait, no. I had a 5-year-old.
I was delivering groceries to rest homes, and
there you go. See, this guy's like he's ready to conquer the world.
Multi-million-dollar
he's
freaking company, and
he's not there, but that's the goal, right?
Yeah.
So where do you see, with somebody like you got all this drive, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
I hate that question.
Have you been in interviews or something?
Yeah, well, the reason why I say that is because people be like that, and I'm like, oh, I see myself here. But in my case, and the reason why I say I hate that question, and nothing against you guys.
No, I know, I get it.
The reason why I say that is it labels you to think of that 5 years. So either when you get there, you're like, either I'm a failure because you didn't do it, or you accomplished it. So in my case, I wanted to start a business when I was 30, not 24. I didn't want to start a business. I wanted to just go work somewhere. And then I get around the right people, and they're like, yeah, you're not a worker guy. You're not, that's just not you. You're going to run a business, and you're the visionary as well. And I'm like, I guess I am the visionary, So in my case, I do see us blowing up Alpha Influence Media, and we're going to have it there. What's going to happen here probably in the next years, I'm going to start having some speaking engagements, events that we're going to have, because my partner just had one. So we're already thinking next year we're going to have one either in LA and San Diego, and then we're going to have it probably every year switching cities. That way I'm able to tap into both markets there and be able to have, something big there, and then also have it for my team, be like, hey, this is what you can do in California, because they're out there and out of St. Louis. Mm-hmm. So I want to be able to do that. And then from there, I'm going to tap into real estate in a little bit, probably not right now because those interest rates are insane, but get some rental properties going next year, probably rent out some vehicles as well. Definitely where I'm at, people want to have those cars. So I want to get like a Tesla and then just have somebody rent it out and then have it 1-2 days a month. And I'm like, all right, now have it. Cool. Let's go put this back out there. So that's kind of my goal, is to structure it. And then really just be present in my daughter's life. Hopefully
so you're doing a Turo and Burbo kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking of, as Turo. So yeah, definitely that's where I'm at. And then I want to just be able to keep that, but really instill all these, generational tips and, hey, to my kids, and say, hey, this is what you can do that's going to help you. And then be able to have that security later on, whether they want to start that business, they want to go to college. I mean, regardless, they're going to have some of those benefits going to college for free, but then be able to pay for the rest, or be like, hey, this is what we can do. Because I know a lot of times, we talk about what we didn't have, but we'll focus on what we did have and then give them a little some more. So in my case, I want to do that exactly.
Coming from an old man who's actually paying for a college right now, take that very serious right now. If you have not talked to a life insurance agent, go talk about whole life insurance.
Exactly.
And get yourself invested in that as well. I love the other things. You're in an area. I mean, if you could afford to buy an Airbnb in San Diego, or in some of those areas, which I mean that's a big task.
Beach, but little MB.
But
that's why I want to get my money up. You know what I mean? So yeah, get a Mission Beach, or ocean, because that's what I want to do is live by the beach. So I plan to get like one like that or rent it out, and then I'm just gonna take my wife there after we remodel it. She's like, you know what, I want to move here. I'm like, all right, cool.
Exactly.
Hey,
I'll get what I want.
One thing that I always tell the young kids, and I say kids and no disrespect at all, when I hear that they have new babies and stuff like that, I tell them, start an email for her. You don't have to give her the password or anything like that. Just start her an email and send her pictures and videos and, little things that you see from her. And then whenever she gets of age, then give her the password and let her go back. And it's kind of like that book that you used to have, that little kid,
where you get the newborn book.
Yeah,
and
the
you
newborn
look at
baby
all the pictures.
book, the baby book. I only say that because Camille, my second one, she didn't have a baby
radio.
book.
It is.
We literally did it for her birthday, for like her 14th or 15th. She's like, "Hey, where's my baby book?" We're like,
"You only do it for the first kid."
Yeah,
like so they probably got one for the baby. The wife's probably got one for the baby. Next kid, no.
Yeah, we're gonna get you that email account.
Yeah, just monthly. So we get like these little monthly books with pictures and stuff. So that's I'm like, how long are we gonna do this for? I already have the bank account for the baby, but I'm like, what else?
But that's a good way to stand. I like that idea.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, I didn't do it, but I mean, I know kids nowadays are all on.
Wait, when our kids email,
we didn't even have the internet, did we?
Well, not when.
No, web TV.
When Cody,
I had web TV when Brooklyn was born.
When Cody was born, so I have a 27-year-old. When Cody was born, we had, I think, AOL.
Yeah.
We had dial up.
I remember web TV.
You probably don't know what that
keyboard.
Is. The sound.
Yeah.
You ever heard the? He's too young. No. He's too young.
No, I know exactly what you guys are talking about.
Yeah. we're old guys now.
So. I had one of the original Dell laptops, and that's what I used for high school that my mom had from when she was younger. And it was one of those where you stick a USB drive in it, and you had to make sure that you go to an old computer at school. If not, if you went to a new one, it's going to delete your shit and it's going to be all boxes. And they're like, my mom's like, you didn't turn this paper in. I'm like, yeah, my shit turned into boxes, bro.
It turned into boxes. I know exactly.
That was great.
The conversion didn't quite work.
Yeah, I'm like, ah.
And it didn't have Wi-Fi. So
yeah.
That's funny. That's funny. Radio. You get all nervous with the first kid with everything. By kid number 2, you don't care what happens when they fall. You just tell him to suck it up. Yeah, he'll learn. He'll learn once kid. He's got like 7 dogs. So
yeah, I don't want no more dogs.
Yeah, he's gonna have a zoo soon. So
that's awesome.
Man, that was it was just awesome story. I mean, only being 24, I feel like and what's funny is about asking you about the 5 years is that's such an old guy thing, right?
Oh yeah.
But I was, in my mind, I know it's one of those things you probably couldn't answer because you're like, bro, I'm already like ahead of where I thought I was going to be. So why would I put any label on what the future has? Because the goal is to be ahead of that. Right.
Yeah, no, 100% that, because that's mainly what it was. It was in my case, like I limited it before, and then I got there and I'm like, well, what's next?
Yeah.
Like, that's why I'm like looking at looking at all these things, and it's like, no, I mean, it wasn't easy at all, and I'd say that's what was difficult is like definitely jumping into it. Like you don't know what you don't know, and especially that, or get in the room with other business owners, and you're like, yeah, I don't know shit about shit. I thought I did, but I don't know anything anymore.
Well, what's funny is I think your military service, as much as you dealt with the people you did, it actually put you in this position.
No, 100%,
right?
100%.
Because it just changed your mindset on like, all right, you're a terrible leader. I'm never going to talk to you again. Yeah.
Did you hear that he wrestled? Did you hear that part?
I heard something.
Good job, Eric.
Nice. Yeah, no, I heard it because that was the whole shooting. My wrestling coach.
We just had our wrestling. Well, we just had our coach on. My wrestling coach from high school.
My son's baseball coach.
Yeah, he was just on a while back, and he just moved to South Carolina to be closer to his kids who are in the Coast Guard. And wrestling is just a family. It doesn't matter who, what, when, or where, but it's just that family,
Absolutely. And that's part of where the drive came from was wrestling. So
yeah,
I would lose, and then I'm right back out there running again.
Yeah.
I'm that crazy one that was cutting 22, 24 pounds a couple of days. So I was running 16 miles a day my junior year. And I was.
What were you trying to wrestle at? Like 103?
So no. So I was like 170s, and then I would cut down to 150s. And I was So what it was is like I was having a problem my freshman year gaining weight, and then I just massively got huge that summer. And then from there was just eating, drinking, being an ass all summer long. And then it was just like lifting weights. So I was big, but then I would have to cut. And then my junior year, that's where I realized like I can't be cutting because I was just feeling like shit all the time. I actually started being good my junior year, but my senior year I started having problems with that. So I was at 160s, I was throwing people around, being strong, and then I went back to 152s. And my body was like, nah, we do not like it.
Yeah.
Sick all the time, losing because it was just gassing out. Like my body fell apart.
Were you heavyweights or?
Well, so when I wrestled, the heavyweight started at 190 because it was 189s.
Ooh.
So it was 190 to 275 was the heavyweights.
Right.
The year after my senior year, so 94, they split it at 215. So they had a 215 division, and then 216 to 275 was the heavyweight. Yeah,
that's crazy.
So I mean, when I wrestled in high school, I was 220. So I mean, 5 pounds wouldn't have been that big of a deal. I would have been in a better bracket. Looking back the next year,
yeah, well,
the guys that wrestled and stuff. So, but yeah, no, it's funny because I coached after I got done, but California put a thing in where you have to. Midway through the year, you have to declare where your weight is. You have to declare a weight, and you can only go up or down one weight. Some guys were going 2 classes, like 154s to 63s, 71s, and all that stuff. And they was just same thing. Guys cutting 20 pounds in a week and a half, and they were focused on the health of the athlete, the student athlete.
That's 20 pounds that's not
I know you're looking at these kids that don't have 20 pounds to lose. When you're looking at a heavyweight, it's like, okay, right, dude, like a couple of cheeseburgers and a fries and shake, fucking go walk the track. You don't have to run, fat boy. Just go walk the track.
Put on the bag, go walk it.
Oh, dude,
chew some gum.
Dude,
spitting.
Lorenzo Guerrero, he was a sweat bag. He was a sweat bag guy.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's so gross. It's just water weight. It's so you're not. I mean, anyways, that's another story.
Well, you caught the wrestling thing.
Yeah, no, I saw that in his profile a little bit before too, but the Mac went down, so I'm a fidgeter. So I'm really just confined to my phone,
which is killing him right now.
I'm okay. I'm actually okay.
Usually he's our. I call him our stalker. Like while you're on here, he goes and finds even more information.
Yeah,
which is awesome.
Yeah,
because then he'll come out of left field. Like,
you
tell
may
me about this.
Yeah, you may have been a World War I veteran that died in 1941.
Yeah, it's the plot of Mad Men.
Yeah. Well, no, we had a guest on, and I looked up his name, and I'm like, oh, dude, you're like a sergeant or something. I can't remember. It was Winners and Sinners or something.
Yeah, it was.
And I'd said, he's like, no, that's not me. I'm like, oh.
And he ended up looking deeper, and it was like a World War.
Yeah, the guy was like, he like died in like 1941. And shit.
So his.
I'm off. I'm like 8 out of 10. I'm good on 8 out of 10.
It was good.
There you go.
Well, man, Alundas, it was a true inspiration to have you on. Like, I'm excited for you. I'm excited for your journey. We appreciate your service. We always got to make sure.
I'm excited for him to be a dad, dude. Like, that's the funnest part for us.
Well, and I think with this medium and what he's doing, he does get a little, because doing a 9 to 5, it
sucks.
Fatherhood gets hard.
Or 4:30 to 1 p.m. It sucks.
Exactly.
4:30 to 1. You're like 4:30 to 4.
Used to be.
Yeah. So I have one parting question that we like to ask, and we've kind of missed it, and with being on for
I already know it.
Well,
I already know it.
He mentioned it, but I don't know that that's what it is, though. I mean,
he said.
Let's see if I can read your mind.
He mentioned it, but you're chilling with the wife, just chilling.
Easy. That's going to be an easy one for her.
What's your go-to drink?
Yeah, so I used to be a Jameson and ginger guy.
Uh-huh.
But since I don't drink like that, what I did to stop it was sparkling water.
Oh, I got Truly. I said the wife has wine and you have Truly.
Yeah, no, I do.
Truly's.
I was one of those that would pound the Trulies and then be like, "Yeah, I'm drinking Truly so I can be healthy," and then I drink 10 of them.
That don't count. That doesn't count. It's sparkling.
That's like vegetables, right?
No, Truly's that. It's the carbonated.
I know.
Yeah, it's the carbonated.
It smells like what you wish it tasted like.
It smells good, but then it's
You're like, ooh, cherries. You're like, no, dude, it's carbonated bullshit.
But Truly prepared me for sparkling water because then I started drinking. I'm like, I'm full, and
I'm taking a plus on that one.
he's taking. I thought you were gonna say whiskey. I thought you were gonna.
I was going to, but then he said, "Hey, that's kind of like for special occasions."
That's what I said. That's what I said because I was
no,
like,
special occasions. Now we bust out the tequila and start sipping that. You know, so now when I'm drinking and it's like that, you know, that's why I left that open. And it was like, what am I gonna do? Like, we're gonna have a bottle of 1942 or something.
See,
my buddy's he's gonna retire in 3 years, and I'm gonna have to bring that out. You know what I mean?
Right.
He's 24 years old and he acts like he's 50.
Yeah.
He's sipping on whiskey.
He's sophisticated. Yeah, we didn't learn that until I don't know if we have.
47 years old, and I still don't think.
Yeah.
I ain't got no.
So I do want to go to the wife real quick. So how long she been in the Navy, and then what's the plans with her?
She's been on 3 years. She was gonna get out and go reserves, but she's dealing with some medical issues right now. So she's most likely moving on. I don't believe. I mean, if she can get cleared, but I don't think she really wants to stay in anymore, just because so much her body's went through. So she's gonna go to school, and then she has a boutique that she started with baby clothes. So I'm gonna help her. You know, now that I have my business up, I'm gonna help her get that up and going again. Yeah. So what was crazy about that is she never talked about starting a business, and then she's one of those that she'll be like, "Oh, I don't want to do it," and then I'm like, literally with the sleep with the baby, and the baby's like 2 months. And then she's like, "Hey, do you want to see a website I just made? And this is what I'm thinking about doing." And I'm like, "What the hell?" Like, this is so unlike you, you know?
That's awesome.
Like, well, you inspired me. You have a podcast and you talk about this. And I'm like, "You listen to the podcast?" And she's like, "No, I don't, but you inspired me to do this." I'm like, "All right, cool."
Yeah, you have to drop her information.
Yeah, what's the name of? Do we have the boutique name yet?
Yeah, it's Amara Chic Boutique.
Amara Chic Boutique. How do you spell that?
AMARACHIC. And then BOUTI.
You don't have to spell that. You don't
BOU. Google finish for me.
Yeah. Your word for today is Amara Chic Boutique. No, I just wanted to make sure we got through the Amara part to make sure we got that spelled right. AMARA, right?
Yeah, it was our daughter's name, and then she put the Chic Boutique, which worked out pretty well. So that.
And did she already got social media going for that?
Yeah, so I believe she still has the website, and then she has a Instagram account for it, and she actually creates bows as well. So she'll create them. She has like unisex clothes, which is pretty cool, you know. So if you have a boy, then you could say
unisex bows.
Clothes.
Oh, I was like,
and then
bows.
She'll make like the bows for the girls.
Okay.
You know, so
I got thrown off. I was putting all the words together.
Put it out there. See if she wants to join us, because we're always down to support our veterans.
Yeah, absolutely.
That would be dope. We've had one woman on.
Yeah,
Rachel Marchbanks.
She's active duty.
And, well, when she's done, I mean, I know. I don't want to jump in. I mean, we haven't had anybody that's active.
No, we haven't.
So, I mean, I think that's why they can freely.
I don't know if she'd want to, but we'd love to have her.
Yeah.
And then she could talk about that too.
Yeah.
She's actually
and then tell us the truth about you.
No. Yeah. She's never been on a podcast before, and the things to say about me be hilarious.
That would be dope. That would be dope.
Dude, we need to get it. Then we need to make that happen.
All right, well, let me I'll call her after and see what she has to say.
There you go. Get the podcaster to get his wife on a different podcast.
Yeah. Like, don't come on my podcast. Go on these two freaks from the valley.
Yeah. Go talk to these two old guys that are up in Northern California, and they just like talking to veterans.
What part of Northern California?
So we're like Modesto, Turlock area.
Okay, there you go.
That's just the landmark. I live in River Point.
Yeah, with whatever. Which try to look that up. It's not.
You can Google it, Michael.
You can. Yeah.
Google says
it's actually part of another town that he doesn't want to name
because it's got a stigma.
Bad. It's got a stigma.
Yeah.
But we're actually I live in a little town called Houston, and it's HUGHSON. So if you've eaten an almond, it's probably from here.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, man. Thank you so much. That was awesome. We got the drink question in again.
Yeah.
And for real about the wife, man.
Yeah, seriously.
Like let's get her on, because we definitely want more representation from our female veterans or even active service, because I think they have a voice that needs to be heard as well, right?
Yeah, and she did a crazier job. She's Master at Arms, so military police, and she was.
Oh no, definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
then we need
August
she's a lot
11th.
cooler.
August 11th, I have open.
Okay.
I don't even have to look at the calendar. I already know it's open.
Well, let me get a hold of her and see if she wants to do
Yeah,
that.
let her know. We'll hit her up, but that would be fun. I mean, you could come join in.
We'll let you join, Kay.
Afterwards.
I'll be a fly on the wall making jokes in the background.
Yeah.
Hey, ask me this. Ask me
He's like, you guys are like, how is he really like? And then I'm like, that's not how it is.
Let him read the script.
Here's the
My
baby
wife
you
said she
can
was
have
going
her
to
back.
divorce me. That's funny.
Awesome. Hey, thanks again. I appreciate you, man. I know we've been, talking a little bit for the last few months, but I finally got you on and did not disappoint, man.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
A great show to come back to after our little hiatus, because we wanted to be consistent, and then vacations, you gotta take care of family, right?
Absolutely.
So, well, feel free to, if you want to stay in our wonderful green room with all the treats and the snacks and everything, and we're gonna do our little outro, get out of here, and we can talk after if you want, or you can take off.
Adios,
whatever works for you, buddy. So
thank you guys.
Alundas, thank you so much, man. That was awesome. Man, just keep growing. Just keep doing what you're doing.
I appreciate you guys.
It's inspirational. All right. Eric, you good? All right, buddy.
Awesome.
All right, Alundas. Thank you, man.
Thank you guys.
Bye. Dude, not a bad way to come back.
No. Adapted, overcame.
We did adapt and overcome because
We overcame.
your laptop.
I forgot to finish the sentence. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
That was the wrong word.
That was. What's funny though is the whole time I want to just tell you to turn your phone sideways.
Would it go side? Oh, is that why I have the black marks? I was trying to go on there.
Yeah, now watch. It should. Oh, do you have it turned off?
I have it on portrait lock.
Now everybody look at Eric's. There we go. See,
and I
just didn't want to stop everything, but we're at the end.
Well,
so.
I went through the settings and then I was going to do this and then that. And then I'm like, no, dude.
No, I know it's driving you crazy to not have your phone.
Yeah, I was like, oh, no, it was fine. I was fine.
I got to figure out what I'll unplug that.
It was just warm. So I don't know what that means.
Well, it's been plugged in. So maybe just unplug it and then we'll be done with it. So,
sometimes.
Eric, thank you, buddy.
Thanks, dude.
That was
appreciate you.
Awesome return.
Yeah.
Deuces.
Deuces.